Elon Musk, the man who dared to build the future. Every generation produces a few individuals whose vision is so bold, so relentless, that they don't just participate in history, they reshape it. Elon Musk is one of those individuals. Love him or criticize him, you cannot ignore him. He is the man who dared to build electric cars when the world laughed, rockets when governments doubted, and social platforms when critics resisted. When you hear the names Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, or X, formerly Twitter, you are hearing the echo of Musk's relentless drive to reinvent entire industries. He is not just an entrepreneur, he is an architect of the future, someone who believes that humanity should become a multiplanetary species, that artificial intelligence must be aligned with human values, and that energy should come from sustainable sources. But behind the bold vision lies a story of struggle, obsession, and determination. Musk's life has been filled with failures as much as successes. Companies on the verge of collapse, rockets exploding on the launch pad, near bankruptcy, and constant public scrutiny. Yet through it all, he has persisted with a single belief, that the future belongs to those brave enough to build it. Why we need to learn about Elon Musk in today's world? Musk is one of the most polarizing figures. Some see him as a genius innovator, others see him as reckless and controversial. But whether you admire him or question him, one thing is undeniable. His story holds lessons that every ambitious dreamer can learn from. Thinking at planetary scale. Most of us think about our careers, our families, our personal goals. Musk thinks about humanity as a species. While others focus on quarterly profits, Musk asks, how do we ensure human survival in the long term? That shift in perspective, from individual to planetary, is something we can all learn from. Resilience in the face of failure. Few entrepreneurs have failed as publicly as Musk. His rockets exploded. Tesla nearly went bankrupt. Critics mocked his visions. Yet Musk kept pushing forward, betting everything on the belief that success was possible. His resilience is a reminder that failure is not the end. It is simply part of the path to breakthrough. 3. The courage to challenge entire industries. Electric cars, space exploration, social media, AI. Musk enters fields dominated by massive corporations or governments, and instead of being intimidated, he asks, why not us? That courage to disrupt industries is rare, and it challenges us to rethink the limits we place on ourselves. 4. The power of obsession. Musk is known for working 8,100 hours a week, sleeping in factories, and immersing himself completely in his companies. While such intensity is not sustainable for everyone, it illustrates a principle. When you are truly obsessed with solving a problem, you can achieve what others consider impossible. Beyond admiration, a challenge for us studying Elon Musk is not about idolizing him. He is human, with flaws, mistakes, and controversies. But his story is a challenge. It forces us to ask, am I thinking big enough? Am I willing to fail publicly? In pursuit of something meaningful? Am I truly giving my best effort to my goals? Musk once said, when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. That is why his story matters. Not because we all need to build rockets or electric cars, but because we all need to find the courage to pursue what matters, even when the world doubts us. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. His early life was far from the glamorous image of a billionaire entrepreneur. He grew up in a turbulent household, facing both emotional struggles and bullying at school. These early challenges shaped him into someone fiercely independent, resilient, and determined to escape the limitations of his environment. His father, Elon Musk, was an engineer, and his mother, May Musk, was a model and dietitian. Elon showed signs of unusual intelligence from a young age, teaching himself programming at just 12 years old. By then, he had already built and sold a video game called Blaster for around $500, a small but symbolic sign of the empire he would one day create. Despite his intellect, Musk's school years were difficult. He was small, shy, and often the target of bullies. At one point, he was beaten so severely that he was hospitalized. But instead of breaking him, these experiences hardened his resilience and deepened his love for knowledge. He spent countless hours reading, everything from science fiction novels to encyclopedias, feeding the imagination that would later inspire his vision for humanity's future. Leaving South Africa by his late teens, Musk knew he had to leave South Africa. Apartheid-era politics and mandatory military service made him deeply uncomfortable, and he dreamed of moving to the United States, which he saw as the land of opportunity and innovation. At 17, he left home and moved to Canada, enrolling at Queen's University in Ontario. His mother, who was Canadian, helped him secure citizenship, giving him a pathway to North America. This move was not just geographical, it was symbolic. Musk was choosing to chase opportunity, even if it meant starting over in a new country with almost nothing. Education and first ventures. After 2 years in Canada, Musk transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, where he earned dual degrees in economics, Wharton School, and physics. While at Penn, he shared a house with friends and even rented it out for parties to pay the bills. But more importantly, it was during this time that Musk's entrepreneurial spark began to burn. He developed a belief that the most important problems of the future would involve the internet, sustainable energy, and space exploration. These 3 pillars would go on to define his career. In 1995, Musk briefly pursued a PhD in applied physics at Stanford University, but dropped out after just 2 days. The internet boom was happening, and he didn't want to waste time in academia while the world was changing outside. Zip2 and X. Musk's first major venture was Zip2, a company he co-founded with his brother Kimball in 1996. Zip2 provided business directories and maps for newspapers, essentially an early version of Google Maps meets Yelp. The company grew rapidly, and in 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for nearly $300 million. Musk's share was $22 million, life-changing money for a 27-year-old, but Musk wasn't satisfied. He immediately invested much of his fortune into a new venture, XCOM, an online banking and payments company. XCOM would eventually merge with Confinity and become PayPal, revolutionizing online payments. When eBay acquired PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Musk earned around $180 million from the deal. From internet millionaire to space dreamer, by this point, Musk could have retired comfortably as a millionaire. But he wasn't interested in comfort. He was obsessed with the future of humanity. In 2002, he founded SpaceX, with the goal of making space travel affordable and ultimately enabling humans to live on other planets. The idea seemed crazy at the time. Critics mocked him, saying rockets were the domain of governments, not private startups. In 2004, he invested heavily in Tesla Motors, a small electric car startup. Once again, people doubted him. At the time, electric cars were considered impractical, expensive, and undesirable. But Musk believed they were the future of transportation. These 2 bets, SpaceX and Tesla, would define the next 2 decades of his life, pushing him to the brink of financial ruin, but eventually cementing him as one of the most influential figures in modern history. The foundation of his vision. Elon Musk's early biography reveals a consistent pattern: curiosity, courage, and relentless pursuit of big ideas. From coding as a child, to leaving South Africa for freedom, to dropping out of Stanford for the internet revolution, Musk always chose the path of bold risk over safety. His life reminds us that extraordinary success doesn't come from comfort. It comes from stepping into uncertainty, driven by belief in something bigger. Musk himself put it best: when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. Elon Musk is not just known for the companies he has built, he is known for the way he thinks. His mindset is radically different from most entrepreneurs, and it is this difference that explains how he has been able to disrupt multiple industries at once. From physics-based problem-solving to embracing risk, Musk's philosophy of life is both inspiring and challenging. First principles. Thinking, one of Musk's most famous approaches, is what he calls first principles thinking, instead of reasoning by analogy, copying what others have done. Musk breaks problems down to their fundamental truths and builds up from there. When people told him electric cars were too expensive because batteries cost too much, Musk asked, "What are the raw materials that make up a battery?" He discovered that the cost of the materials themselves wasn't prohibitive. It was the way batteries were manufactured. By rethinking battery production from the ground up, Tesla drove down costs and made electric vehicles viable. Musk explains it this way: you boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, what are we sure is true? And then reason up from there. Lesson: don't accept limits just because that's how it's always been done. Break problems into fundamentals and rebuild them. Obsession and relentless work. Musk is infamous for his extreme work ethic. He often works 80-100 hours per week, splits his time across multiple companies, and has been known to sleep on factory floors during production crises. When Tesla was facing production bottlenecks, Musk personally spent nights in the factory, inspecting machines and even fixing problems himself. His employees recall him working side by side with them, pushing through exhaustion to meet deadlines. This level of obsession is not for everyone, but for Musk, it reflects his belief that when you are building something world-changing, there is no substitute for relentless effort. Lesson: extraordinary goals require extraordinary effort. If you want to achieve what no one else has, you must be willing to work harder than anyone else. Risk-taking and courage. Musk has repeatedly put everything on the line for his vision. After selling PayPal, he invested nearly all his fortune into SpaceX and Tesla, leaving himself so little cash that he had to borrow money for rent. In 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX were on the verge of collapse. Musk had enough money left to save only one company. Instead of choosing, he split the money between both, risking everything. Against the odds, both companies survived and eventually thrived. Musk once said, "Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough." Lesson: true innovation requires risk. If you're not willing to fail, you'll never achieve breakthroughs. Purpose beyond profit. Unlike many CEOs, Musk doesn't define success purely by financial metrics. His motivation comes from a sense of mission. He believes Tesla's role is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, and SpaceX's purpose is to make humanity a multi-planetary species. This mission-driven mindset keeps him going even through failure. Rockets explode, cars miss deadlines, critics attack, but Musk pushes forward because he believes the stakes are bigger than himself. He once said, "I didn't start SpaceX and Tesla to make money. I started them because I thought they were important for the future." Lesson: when your mission is larger than yourself, it gives you the fuel to endure setbacks. Embracing failure as a teacher. Musk's journey is littered with failures. SpaceX rockets exploded on launch. Tesla's production hell nearly bankrupted the company. Neuralink has faced setbacks in development, but Musk never sees failure as final. Instead, he treats it as a step toward progress. SpaceX's early rocket crashes weren't disasters. They were experiments that taught the company how to succeed. He famously said, "If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. Failures are simply part of finding the right recipe." Lesson: failure is data. Don't fear it, use it. Thinking at scale. Musk doesn't think small. While most entrepreneurs focus on incremental improvements, Musk sets goals that sound impossible: colonizing Mars, building a hyperloop, creating brain-computer interfaces, reinventing social media. This boldness inspires people to rally around him. Even if not all his ideas succeed, the sheer scale of his ambition pushes industries forward. He once explained, "The first step is to establish that something is possible. Then probability will occur." Lesson: don't just aim for what seems realistic. Aim for what seems impossible, and then find a way to make it real. Extreme transparency and honesty. Musk is known for being brutally honest, sometimes to the point of controversy. On Twitter, now X, he speaks directly to the public, bypassing traditional media. Within his companies, he is equally direct, giving feedback without sugarcoating. While this style can be polarizing, it reflects his philosophy: truth, even when uncomfortable, is better than comfort built on illusion. Lesson: don't hide from reality. Be honest with yourself and others, even when it's hard. The long-term perspective. Perhaps Musk's greatest strength is his ability to think decades ahead. While most companies chase quarterly profits, Musk invests in technologies that may take years or even decades to pay off. SpaceX's goal of colonizing Mars may not be realized in Musk's lifetime, but he pursues it anyway because he believes it matters for humanity. Lesson: play the long game. Don't just ask, what will this do for me in a year? Ask, what will this do for the world in 50 years? The essence of Musk's mindset. Elon Musk's philosophy can be distilled into a few guiding principles. Break problems down to first principles. Work obsessively on what matters. Take bold risks and embrace failure. Pursue missions bigger than yourself. Think at a planetary scale. Be brutally honest with reality. Play the long game. This mindset is not easy. It demands sacrifice, resilience, and courage. But it is also what allows Musk to do what most people believe is impossible. Musk himself put it best: when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are against you. Elon Musk's life has been anything but smooth. His career is a story of wild risks, devastating failures, improbable comebacks, and ultimately world-changing success. To understand his impact, we need to trace the journey that took him from a young programmer in South Africa to the billionaire entrepreneur reshaping entire industries. Zip2, the first step after leaving Stanford in 1995, Musk and his brother Kimball founded Zip2, a company that provided online business directories and maps for newspapers. At the time, the internet was still in its infancy, and newspapers were struggling to adapt. Musk saw an opportunity to bring local listings online, creating a tool that made newspapers more relevant in the digital age. It wasn't easy. The brothers lived in their small office, showering at the YMCA and working tirelessly to keep the business alive. But their persistence paid off. By 1999, Compaq bought Zip2 for nearly $300 million. Musk walked away with $22 million, his first major fortune. This was Musk's first turning point, the proof that his ideas, no matter how unusual, could turn into reality. XCOM and PayPal, revolutionizing money flush with his earnings from Zip2, Musk founded X.com, an online financial services company. Musk believed the internet could revolutionize money transfer, making it easy, fast, and borderless. His vision was ahead of its time. XCOM merged with Confinity, which had developed a money transfer service called PayPal. The merged company focused on PayPal, and in 2002, eBay acquired it for $1.5 billion. Musk's stake earned him about $180 million. This was Musk's second turning point: financial freedom. He now had enough money to retire comfortably or risk everything on his wildest dreams. SpaceX. Betting on the stars, instead of taking the safe path, Musk set his sights on space. In 2002, he founded Space Exploration Technologies Corp. SpaceX, with a radical goal: to make space travel affordable and eventually colonize Mars. Almost everyone thought he was crazy. Rockets had always been the domain of governments, and even NASA was struggling. But Musk believed private companies could innovate faster and cheaper. The early years were brutal. SpaceX's first 3 rocket launches all failed. Each failure cost millions and pushed the company closer to bankruptcy. By 2008, Musk was down to his last resources. He had poured nearly all his PayPal fortune into SpaceX and Tesla. He had enough money left for one more rocket launch. That final attempt, Falcon 1's 4th launch, succeeded. Shortly after, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. Musk had saved SpaceX by the slimmest of margins. This was Musk's third turning point, the near-death moment that forced him to bet everything and win Tesla. Driving into the future in 2004, Musk invested heavily in a small electric car startup called Tesla Motors, eventually becoming its CEO. At the time, electric cars had a terrible reputation: slow, ugly, and impractical. Musk wanted to prove they could be sleek, fast, and desirable. Tesla's first car, the Roadster, debuted in 2008. It was far from perfect, but it shattered the stereotype of electric cars. Still, Tesla faced massive challenges: delays, quality issues, and financial struggles. By late 2008, the company was nearly bankrupt. At the same time, Musk was fighting to save SpaceX. In December of that year, a last-minute investment deal kept Tesla alive. Musk described it as one of the darkest moments of his life, when both his companies were hours away from collapse. Over time, Tesla stabilized. The Model S launched in 2012 to rave reviews, proving electric cars could outperform gas vehicles. The Model 3, launched in 2017, became one of the best-selling electric cars in the world. Today, Tesla dominates the EV market, forcing the entire auto industry to accelerate its transition to clean energy. This was Musk's fourth turning point, taking electric cars from ridicule to revolution. Solar City, Neuralink, and the Boring Company, never satisfied with just two companies, Musk expanded into other areas. Solar City, 2006. A solar energy company founded by his cousins, later merged into Tesla Energy. Musk wanted to accelerate the shift to renewable power. Neuralink, 2016. A brain-computer interface startup aiming to merge humans with AI and treat neurological conditions. The Boring Company, 2016. Founded to build underground tunnels and solve urban traffic congestion. Each of these ventures reflects Musk's philosophy. Attack humanity's biggest problems: energy, transportation, and the future of intelligence. SpaceX triumphs. The reusable rocket era, by the mid-2010s, SpaceX achieved what many thought impossible: building reusable rockets. Traditional rockets were discarded after each launch, making spaceflight prohibitively expensive. SpaceX's Falcon 9 could land back on Earth and be reused, dramatically lowering costs. In 2020, SpaceX became the first private company to send astronauts to the International Space Station. It now dominates the commercial launch market and is developing Starship, the massive rocket Musk hopes will take humans to Mars. This was Musk's fifth turning point, transforming space exploration from fantasy into a functioning industry. X, Twitter. The free speech gamble in 2022. Musk made another bold and controversial move, acquiring Twitter for $44 billion. Renamed X, Musk declared his vision to turn it into an everything app, combining social media, payments, and digital identity. The acquisition has been polarizing. Supporters praise Musk for defending free speech. Critics argue that his changes have destabilized the platform. Whether X becomes another triumph or a cautionary tale remains to be seen. But true to his character, Musk embraced the risk. For him, challenging the status quo, whether in rockets, cars, or social media, is part of his DNA. Today and beyond as of today, Musk is not only one of the richest people in the world, but also one of the most influential. Tesla leads the electric car industry. SpaceX is pushing humanity toward Mars. Neuralink is exploring the frontier of brain technology. And X is testing the boundaries of digital communication. Musk's journey is far from over. His ambitions remain enormous, his controversies frequent, and his impact undeniable. The essence of his journey. If we look at Musk's turning points, a clear pattern emerges. He reinvests everything he earns into even bigger ideas. He pushes through near-death experiences for his companies. He embraces failure as a stepping stone. He always aims at humanity's biggest challenges. Musk's journey is not a safe path. It is a roller coaster. But it is also proof that the future is built by those willing to risk everything to create it. He once said, "If something is important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure." That belief has carried him from a bullied boy in South Africa to one of the most influential figures shaping the destiny of humanity. It's easy to look at Elon Musk and think, he's a billionaire, he's a genius, I could never live like that. But Musk's lessons aren't just for tech CEOs or rocket scientists. His philosophy can be adapted by anyone who wants to live with more courage, purpose, and ambition. Here's how you can take Musk's principles and put them into practice in your own life. Practice first principles. Thinking, instead of accepting the way things are, ask, what are the basic truths here? Musk didn't accept that rockets had to cost hundreds of millions. He broke down the raw materials and rebuilt the process. How to apply. Take one challenge in your life. Write down the assumptions you're making. Ask, is this assumption actually true, or is it just convention? Rebuild the solution from fundamentals. Example, if you think, I don't have time to work out, break it down. Truth, you need 20 minutes. Can you wake up earlier? Skip 20 minutes of scrolling? Suddenly, the impossible becomes possible. Dream bigger, set bold goals. Musk doesn't ask, how can I make a little more money? He asks, how can I change the world? His scale of ambition inspires others. How to apply. Write down your current goals. Then ask, what's the 10x version of this goal? Even if you don't hit the 10x, aiming higher will stretch you further than safe goals ever will. Share your bold goal with someone who will hold you accountable. Redefine failure as learning Musk's rockets exploded. Tesla nearly collapsed. But he never treated failure as defeat. He treated it as feedback. How to apply? Start a failure log. Each time you fail, write down what you learned. Reframe the word failure into experiment. Experiments either succeed or teach. Celebrate small risks, even if they fail, because each attempt brings you closer to success. Take calculated risks. Musk risked his entire PayPal fortune on Tesla and SpaceX. You don't need to gamble everything, but you can practice courage in smaller ways. How to apply? Ask yourself, what's one risk I've been avoiding? Maybe it's applying for a job, starting a project, or speaking up. Calculate the worst-case scenario. Is it survivable? If yes, take the risk. Build your risk muscle by practicing small risks weekly. Adopt relentless work habits sustainably. Musk works extreme hours, but you don't need 100-hour weeks to learn from him. The lesson is about focus and intensity. How to apply? Schedule deep work blocks, 90 minutes of distraction-free focus. Use Musk's method of prioritization. List your top 5 tasks, then cut the bottom 4. Focus on the one that matters most. Track your energy, not just your time. Work hardest when you're at peak focus. Live mission first, not money first. Musk is rich, but money has never been his motivator. His mission, sustainable energy, space colonization, AI safety, drives him. That's why he pushes through setbacks. How to apply? Write down, why do I do what I do? Dig deeper than money or status. Align one daily task with your larger mission. Ask yourself weekly, is how I'm spending my time moving me toward my mission? 7. Ignore the critics and keep building. Musk is one of the most criticized people on Earth, but he doesn't stop. He focuses on execution, not opinions. How to apply? Limit your exposure to negativity. Mute critics who don't offer solutions. Choose 2-3 people whose feedback you value. Listen to them, ignore the rest. Remind yourself daily, critics don't build. Builders build. 8. Build teams around shared belief. Musk surrounds himself with people who share his mission. They aren't just employees, they're believers. How to apply? Find at least one accountability partner for your goals. When choosing collaborators, ask, do they believe what I believe? Create environments where ideas, not egos, are what matter. Balance vision with execution. Musk dreams about Mars, but SpaceX also delivers satellites, internet, Starlink, and cargo to the ISS. Vision inspires. Execution sustains. How to apply? Write down your big vision, then break it into practical next steps. Each week, ask, what one action brings me closer to my vision? Celebrate progress, not just outcomes. 10. Stay optimistic and keep moving. Musk has faced countless setbacks, but his optimism keeps him moving. Optimism fuels resilience. How to apply? Begin each day with a positive visualization of your future. End each day by writing down one win, even a small one. When setbacks happen, ask, what does this make possible? A Musk-inspired daily checklist. Here's a simple way to live Musk's lessons each day. Question one assumption with first principles. Spend 30 minutes on your boldest goal. Take one small risk. Do one deep work session. Align one action with your larger mission. Ignore one critic and listen to one supporter. Acknowledge one small win before bed. This checklist won't make you Elon Musk, but it will train you to think bigger, act bolder, and live with greater focus. Applying Musk's lessons beyond business. These lessons go far beyond entrepreneurship. In careers, take bold risks, aim higher, and focus on purpose. In relationships, be authentic, ignore critics, and build trust through honesty. In personal growth, embrace failure, build discipline, and keep pushing through setbacks. In society, think at scale. Ask how your actions, no matter how small, make the world better. Musk's life shows us that greatness is not about being fearless. It's about being willing to act despite fear. It's about working relentlessly on problems that matter. And it's about daring to dream at a scale so big that others call it impossible, until you prove them wrong. Elon Musk is a man who divides opinion. To some, he is a visionary genius. To others, he is reckless and controversial. But whether you admire him or criticize him, one truth remains. He is building the future while the rest of the world debates it. Musk's story is not about perfection. It's about possibility. It's about a boy in South Africa who loved science fiction and video games, who was bullied and beaten, who left his home country with almost nothing, and who went on to build companies that changed industries, nations, and the trajectory of humanity. He reminds us that greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from risk. It comes from failure. It comes from the courage to keep pushing forward when everything tells you to quit. The call to dream bigger. When Musk founded SpaceX, experts laughed. When he backed Tesla, critics called it a scam. When he bought Twitter, now X, many predicted disaster. And yet, time after time, he has turned the impossible into the inevitable. What does that mean for you? It means the limits you accept may not be real. It means the goals you dismiss as too ambitious may be exactly the ones worth chasing. Musk forces us to ask, am I thinking too small? Am I letting fear stop me? He once said, when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. That is not just a business philosophy. It is a life philosophy. Your ripple in the universe, you don't need to build rockets or colonize Mars to live Musk's lessons. You just need to find your own mission, the thing that matters enough for you to risk failure, to work harder than anyone else, to keep moving forward no matter the odds. For some, that mission may be raising a family with love and integrity. For others, it may be starting a business, writing a book, creating art, or serving a community. For all of us, it means daring to believe that we can leave the world a little better than we found it. Musk's story is a reminder that the future is not written by those who play it safe. It is written by those who take risks bold enough to change it. Elon Musk is not perfect. He is flawed, controversial, sometimes impulsive. But he is also relentless, daring, and unafraid to dream on a planetary scale. And perhaps that is what makes his story so powerful. He shows us that you don't have to be perfect to make an impact. You just have to be bold enough to try. So as you reflect on Musk's journey, remember this: the next great leap for humanity will not come from those who doubted, but from those who dared. The question is, will you dare? Elon Musk's story is not just about rockets, cars, or social media platforms. It is about a way of thinking and living that pushes the limits of possibility. His journey offers powerful lessons for anyone who wants to dream bigger, work harder, and dare to change the world. Here are the most important lessons from his life. Think in first principles. Musk doesn't accept "that's how it's always been done" as an answer. Instead, he uses first principles thinking, breaking problems down to their basic truths and reasoning upward. When building rockets, he realized buying them from aerospace companies was too expensive. Instead, he asked, what are the raw materials and what do they cost? By manufacturing rockets in-house, SpaceX cut costs dramatically. Lesson: don't rely on analogy or convention. Break problems into fundamentals and rebuild from the ground up. Dream at the scale of humanity. Most people think about personal success. Musk thinks about species survival. Tesla is about sustainable energy for humanity. SpaceX is about ensuring humans can live beyond Earth. Neuralink is about protecting humanity in an AI-dominated future. By thinking at this scale, Musk attracts the best talent and inspires massive industries to move forward. Lesson: don't just ask, what do I want to achieve? Ask, what impact can I make on the world? 3. Embrace failure as the price of innovation. SpaceX rockets exploded. Tesla missed deadlines. Critics mocked his ideas. Musk faced more public failures than most entrepreneurs ever will. Yet he views failure not as shame, but as data. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Each failed launch taught SpaceX how to succeed. Each setback at Tesla forced new breakthroughs. Lesson: failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path to it. Take bold risks. After selling PayPal, Musk could have retired rich. Instead, he invested nearly all his money into SpaceX and Tesla, risking bankruptcy. At one point, both companies were days away from collapse. He later said, "My proceeds from PayPal were $180 million. I put $100 million in SpaceX, $70 million in Tesla, and $10 million in SolarCity. I had to borrow money for rent. Lesson: great achievements require risk. If you only play it safe, you'll never build something extraordinary. Work relentlessly. Musk is known for his extreme work ethic. He regularly works 80-100 hours a week and expects his teams to give their best. He once admitted to sleeping on Tesla's factory floor during production crises, refusing comfort while his company struggled. While this pace is controversial, it demonstrates his belief that extraordinary problems require extraordinary effort. Lesson: hard work is not optional if you want to achieve at the highest level. Dedication beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Be mission-driven, not money-driven. Musk has repeatedly said he didn't start Tesla or SpaceX to make money. His mission to solve humanity's greatest challenges drives him far more than profit. This mission-driven mindset inspires his teams and gives him resilience. When the stakes are about the future of humanity, temporary failures feel small. Lesson: find a purpose bigger than yourself. Money is a tool, but mission is fuel. Ignore the critics. From the start, critics doubted Musk. They said Tesla would fail, SpaceX would never land rockets, and buying Twitter was madness. Musk heard it all, but he didn't let it stop him. He once said, "If you need inspiring words, don't do it." For Musk, external validation was irrelevant. The only thing that mattered was progress toward his goals. Lesson: don't let the noise of critics drown out your vision. Focus on execution, not approval. Build teams that share the mission. Musk cannot do everything himself. What he does brilliantly is attract brilliant people who believe in the mission. SpaceX and Tesla are filled with engineers and designers motivated not just by money, but by the chance to change history. Lesson: surround yourself with people who believe what you believe. Shared mission creates unstoppable momentum. Balance boldness with execution. Musk is a dreamer, but he is also a doer. SpaceX didn't just dream about Mars, it built reusable rockets. Tesla didn't just dream about clean cars, it mass-produced them. Lesson: vision without execution is hallucination. Dream boldly, but back it with relentless execution. Stay relentlessly optimistic. Musk has faced bankruptcy, ridicule, and repeated failure. Yet he continues to bet on the future. His optimism, sometimes called reckless, fuels his ability to keep pushing when others would quit. Lesson: optimism is a competitive advantage. Believing in a better future gives you the energy to build it. The core of Musk's lessons: if we condense his philosophy into a blueprint, it looks like this. Think in first principles. Question assumptions. Dream at scale. Focus on impact, not just income. Embrace failure. Treat it as learning. Take risks. Bet big when it matters. Work harder. Outwork the competition. Lead with mission. Make purpose your fuel. Ignore critics. Focus on progress. Build teams. Surround yourself with believers. Execute relentlessly. Turn vision into reality. Stay optimistic. Hope fuels resilience. Why these lessons matter. Musk's life is a reminder that the limits we accept are often illusions. Electric cars were impossible. Reusable rockets were impossible. Colonizing Mars is still impossible. But Musk keeps asking, why not? The true lesson is not that we should all work 100-hour weeks or start space companies. It is that we should question our limits, embrace risk, and dare to pursue goals that scare us. Musk shows us that the world changes not because of those who play it safe, but because of those who take risks bold enough to change the future.